Hello, welcome to episode 8 of the Bottums Up podcast. If you've been listening to every episode thus far, I'm super grateful because I did not think that I would make it this far, but here we are. Today, we are sitting in the wonderful Taylor Hughes Park up in Fort Lauderdale, one of several state parks that's actually we have access to down in this portion of Florida. You know, the Everglades is not the only one. We have plenty that we can travel to, and this location was a very special one to pick for this episode. I'm sitting here today with Noelia and Jamerly. They are the founders of what is currently called Empower Wellness Farm. Might change the name at some point, but that's what we're going to roll with for the time being. They are, well, I guess I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
Hi, everyone. My name is Noelia. This is my partner, Jamerly. We are currently working on creating a space, aka a farm, for POC and LGBTQ community to feel connected with nature and to have that education when it comes to holistic health. And we're trying to start a farm about 10 acres big, to support that community. But yes, here we go.
So we want to start the farm, Empower Wellness Farm, and aspects of education and nourishment and just providing a space to feel connected to Earth and go back to our roots.
So let's start with horoscopes. I can go first just because it's going to be mean to me. I know it's going to be mean to me, so I can read mine. We can get that out of the way, and then we can have a very beautiful moment for everybody else.
And uninstall it, because I'm like, oh, you did not just tell me that.
I'm getting so close at this point. It's so rude. So today, what's today? Today is Sunday, October 22nd. My co-star says, being dishonest about who you are turns into shame, turns into fear, turns into more dishonesty. This is already feeling like an attack, so I'm going to stop there. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. Mine actually represents exactly where I'm at right now. It says, you can always rebuild and become the next you.
Oh, I like that one.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I wish I got that.
I think it's a nice welcoming message for me downloading it. But yeah, definitely where I'm at right now, having to rebuild just what adulting looks like and routine and schedule.
Adulting. I'm a Capricorn, and my co-star says, avoid falling into unhealthy interpersonal traps. I don't really know what that means, but I got to think about it a little bit.
I feel like there's some overlap between your two. There's a little bit of a connection there. I like that.
Yeah.
I can say that it correlates with our life currently, yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
What does yours say?
Visibility is a trap. That's what mine says. I'm a Scorpio as well, and it just says visibility is a trap. So
Do I have to crop you out of this video?
that's what, let me just go behind the scenes at this point again. I'll go behind the scenes again.
That's okay.
Let me just.
Well, maybe that's a good place to start. Because what kind of job are you doing right now?
Well, my story is interesting because I studied environmental science. My degree is environmental science, and so I wanted to do environmental engineering. And I just recently got an opportunity to do environmental engineering for aerotech, and that's for testing mold and asbestos and stuff like that. And 3 days into working for the company, I got let go because of my background check, which my story is unfortunate. I did get a DUI about 4 years ago, which, has helped me turn my life around now. But I was going through a tough time. My dad passed away at that time. I was, just feeling the feels, and I got a DUI, and it's affecting me now almost 5 years later. And I did let them know before I got the opportunity. I did let them know about my DUI, and they said it wouldn't be a problem. And 3 days later, because the insurance company for the vehicles that we would be driving doesn't want to insure me, I had to be let go. So I wasn't working for a little bit, but now I'm actually just working telesales for Mavis Discount Tires, which is not what I want to be doing, but it's just something for now that I'm doing so that I can focus on my farm. It's just, you know, something to make some money so that I can build the future for myself. But it's just, you know, it just goes to show that things that happened to you years ago do affect you in the future. And unfortunately, I'm not the same person I was 5 years. I mean, fortunately, I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago, but unfortunately, it is still affecting me. But I'm just trying to move forward.
I'm a second grade teacher. So I work in Boynton Beach, and this is my first year teaching. It's not my first year in the classroom, but it's my first year having my own class. And it's been a challenge, to say the least, and an exhausting conversation.
Second graders, man.
See, I wanted to teach when I was in high school. I was like, oh, I'll be a teacher. I'll teach high school kids. I wanted to do English or history or gym. Like those were the 3 subjects that I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And then I found out, like, later on, I was like, I don't want to deal with kids.
I can barely take care of myself.
Right. Like, I don't want to deal with kids.
My cousin, she works at a daycare, and I'm like,
even the itty bitties, I can't do it.
I can't do it. I'm like changing diapers, and she teaches them and like takes care of them. And I could do the teaching part, but teaching and taking care of, I can't do it. No, I lasted 3 weeks at a daycare.
You can't pay me enough. You can't pay me enough to change diapers and teach a kid. Like, parents, all more to you at this point. Parents, more to you.
I want to be a parent. I just don't want to be a teacher to other people's kids.
Yeah, that's for me. It's other people's children that I cannot stand.
I don't want to mess up your child. Like, it's okay if I mess up my child, but it's not okay, but I don't want to mess up someone else's child, you know?
It's like, I don't know what kind of household, like, your kid comes from. I don't know what you all think is acceptable, like, because I see some adults out here with some awful manners. I know my mom didn't raise me like that, so I can only imagine the way that other children are being raised. So I just want to stay away from that.
Yeah, seriously. It's tough. And you see so many different personalities. And like, one of my mentors, she told me, she was like, you know, when you're in a classroom, you don't have one relationship with your class. You have 19 different relationships with your students. And to be in that for 8 hours constantly, like, it's a lot to take in, but I love what I do. You know, I love teaching students, and I love, like, that's what I want to do on the farm as well. Like, I want to create the wellness aspect of it, and like, I don't agree with the way education is being run now, or ever. But I think it is important and of value. I just wish that students had more of a freedom to decide what they wanted to learn, and that's something that I want to incorporate in the farm.
I feel like there's a lot of diversity too when it comes to what's taught, because I even think, for me growing up, I grew up on the eastern side of Maryland, which, to be quite honest, like, it's farms, it's very, like, conservative. It's like we have suburbs, and like there's still like a lot of like economy that's happening there, but it's not nearly like the other side of Maryland, which is right next to DC, incredibly affluent. Like, I think you have like one of like the richest population of like Black Americans is in that area. So my cousins who grew up there, like, I would always be like so upset when I would go over to their house, because they're talking about all these like cool things that they get to pick in school. Like, one of my cousins literally got sent home with like a microscope and a bunch of like little slides of things that he could like look at, and I'm like,
yeah, we did that stuff. I did that stuff in Philly too.
But then for me, it was like, for like 3 years when I was in middle school, they were like, oh, we're gonna get you guys iPods so that you can like go walk around the track with music and stuff like that, and it just never happened. Like, there was never the funding for it. Even my sister, the high school, we all went to the same high school. She went to the older building, I went to the newer building. Even just the difference in terms of, you know, the number of fights that would happen in the old building, which had no AC. They were running chicken fans. You couldn't open most of the windows. A lot of them were boarded up. It was just an old building. It needed to be replaced. The difference between the amount of fights that happened when she was in school versus when I was in school in this like brand new building that was a year old when I got there, major change. Yeah. It's a major change.
And I think that's something that I was actually talking to you about earlier today, that a lot of people who run the funding don't think about classroom culture and the way that like being able to open up a window affects a child, or the way that not having AC affects a child. Like, when I didn't have AC in my classroom for the first 3 weeks, I had a nosebleed every day. And that's something that's traumatizing to just be like, for other kids to just see blood coming down, you know, like, even though it's just a nosebleed, like, and that's based off of the AC, something that could have been easily fixed.
It's like a broken windows theory.
Yeah.
You know, where everything is, if you go to a city where everything is messed up, you have more crime. Where you go to cities that everything looks good or brand new or looks, you know, like it just was built, you have no crime. And that's in every aspect, I think, that people fail to realize. Like, if you call the child a bad child, that child's going to be a bad child. That's psychology. If you tell a child, hey, you give them positive reinforcement, then it helps them as well. So I can see that. You know, any environment affects how you feel, right?
Yeah, for real.
And that's scary. I fortunately didn't have. I went to private school because I grew up in such a bad neighborhood. My mom sent me to Catholic school just because she did not want me in the public school system in Paterson, New Jersey. I'm talking Fetty Wap.
You're right across the bridge from me. I grew up in Philly.
Yeah, Philly's right there. I used to go to Philly all the time, South Side. You know, I actually got my nipples pierced out there. TMI. My mom didn't want me to go to any of the schools in my neighborhood because she knew that I would turn out to be either a gang member or a mom at maybe 15. Fortunately for me, I'm gay, so I never had to deal with that. And she sent me to an all-girl Catholic high school, which I loved. Yes.
I loved it too.
I mean, I hated the nuns, but I loved being in an all-girl school. I still had to apply for financial aid and all that stuff and do work study, even at 14 years old. So I've always had to work for my education, and I'm very grateful for that, you know, lesson. And, you know, I learned a lot about myself in that school, and one thing for certain is I'm not that religious. But when it comes to my education, I can say that I did learn the college prep courses and I had a good education, and I didn't have to fight, and I didn't have to, you know, get in trouble in the streets and stuff like that. I did still go home to a hood household, but I didn't get that education because my mom was like, we're not having that. But it's, you know, to hear what kind of stories people have when it comes to education, like you telling me that you had a bloody nose every day at school is kind of messed up, and I see why you want to start your own homeschool. I see why you want to, you know, do that on our farm, and I welcome that.
Food they give the students these days is like so processed, and
everything we eat is horrible for us.
Yeah, and it affects students in the classroom. Like, if you didn't eat dinner and you're coming to class, you're gonna be grumpy, you're gonna be cranky, you're gonna like not want to do anything. If you didn't like, if you're at lunch and you're like sitting there and everything's processed, like that's gonna affect how you digest it later on. And like, I don't know, I just want to provide nutrition for students and like teach them how to cook and start getting them into the kitchen, because for me, that's something that's really hard for me. I never grew up having to cook. I didn't grow up having to make my own meals. Like, my grandma was devoted to that. That's her. I think she's very religious, and I think that's her way of sharing her like connection to God and herself with the world. It's just by feeding people. Like, people will come over to my house just to eat. And I just want to carry that, and I want to cook exactly how she cooked. I know that's not realistic, but it's a goal of mine.
She wants to be La Abuela?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been trying with the little cafecitos.
You come to my house and the first thing she does is put some coffee on the stove. She's like, you want coffee?
Love it.
Not all.
I'll be over this weekend.
If we
You're
have
welcome.
I give, but you know, we're in a recession right now too, so it's hard sometimes.
Like the food aspect, like that was actually a huge part of my thesis, because I even noticed when I was in school and when I was, you know, going out, becoming more independent, I'm having to buy my own groceries, I'm having to cook for myself. That was one of the ways that I bonded like so much with my friends, was over food. Because it's like, first of all, we gotta eat, and you know, we're all kind of struggling like in the grocery department, especially like now, so just dealing with inflation. But I just remember that being like such a nice, intimate experience, and it's still something that I really enjoy sharing with people. I love cooking for other people. I love cooking with other people. I just love to be in the kitchen and experimenting and be like, oh, what do you think of this? Like, how did you like this? Like, is this good? Yeah.
I feel like before they even put food in there, I'm like, how is it?
It's like we're like, how is it? I don't know. I haven't tasted it yet. Like,
food
that's how
brings
she
people
is.
together,
It
you know,
does,
in
yeah.
every culture. And I think one of the things that really are driving, one of the reasons that I really want this farm is self-sustainability. I don't want to have to pay $20 for just a few bags of fruits and veggies, you know, like that are packed with hormones or filled with meat that's filled with antibiotics and stuff like that. I don't want that for myself. I want to be able to go to my yard and pick a tomato or some bell peppers and make myself some dinner, and just all around knowing where your food comes from. Healthy soil, healthy soul, right? I think food is what brings people together, and it's literally what's going to be the currency in the future is what I think.
Yeah.
The way the things are going, seeds and crops are going to be a currency.
And there are farms now that have their seed
Banks.
Their seed banks, and you just take seeds for the year. When your crops get seeds, you bring it back, and then you just continue that, nutrition and like sharecropping and stuff like that.
I think, especially like in Florida, that like we don't really have the best soil, but you do have this wonderful environment where you're getting sun and water pretty much year round.
Yeah.
But it just sucks because not all soil is good for crops, and so you want to find the perfect land, which has been a challenge for us. We want to find the perfect space that is going to yield product, and also we want livestock on our farm, so we wanted to be able to feed our livestock as well. And I'm not just trying to have livestock so that I can sell meat and stuff like that. I just want it so that it can help the land, because animals and crops, when they work together, it creates a perfect ecosystem. But I mean, there are people who still eat dairy and still eat animal products. So for me, I want to be able to provide at least something to that kind of community where it's not filled with a bunch of crap. But finding the perfect land in Florida is hard.
Very.
Because it's either too swampy or too humid, and it's not ideal for most crops. So you have to find the perfect space, and that's been a challenge for us, is trying to find the perfect land. That's the thing, is that we want to bring that kind of space here, because there's no spaces around here like that. And it's just like, well, we need to really make sure we find the perfect space.
Yeah, and I just learned last week that there are artificial farms just to hold the water back. Around, I don't remember what area was in Florida, but there are, like people like trying out new and innovating things for farming to see, how we can get better. And I think a lot of people who are in the farming industry are like, the way food is being expensive and, sharecropping and stuff like that, like, I think they're actually seeing, like what you said, like, food as a value. And, like, not that food has never been a value, but now it seems almost like I either grow my own food or I starve. In the next 5 years, like, I might not be able to afford eggs.
Well, even just the cost of farming, like the economics of actually owning a farm, oh my God, it's awful. I think like part of what factors into the environmental issues that we run into with farming, especially cattle farming, is just the sheer scale. That like you get to a point where, in order for it to be profitable, in order for you to be able to cover your bills, you just have to have such a massive yield in any given year. A lot of farmers are usually starting their year with loans, with an estimate of how much it's going to cost, and then you have to make sure that you cover that and you pay it back, and also that you can afford your living expenses, like on top of that. So I don't know, it makes me feel even more passionate about the smaller local farming, to be able to say like, look, there's no reason for you to feel like you need to have this massive operation where you are selling to the entire country, or where you're selling globally.
Right.
Like your people are right there.
Mass production is what's ruining it.
Exactly. You gotta look, and then the fruits, like, oh my God, we had kiwi this morning. It was so sour.
It just wasn't ready. You could tell that they just picked it, and then there's no intention.
And I think for our farm, what we want is to provide a space where people could come and know they have fresh, good food, and like affordable, or like, like in exchange and trade in some way, you know.
Yeah, because
or
it doesn't have to just be
visiting,
currency.
right? Or just visiting and having a safe space to just come. Like, I envisioned the farm to have like little cabins that people could stay at, and like little nook areas that are like for reading or just gazing out or writing, and then we also want to include the creative space into our farm to have like creative events where people can come and like, you know, share their talents in whatever way that looks like.
I think my long-term goal is to have a compound where people could, if you want to come live on the farm, you can. You know, we can do like tiny homes or like even mobile homes, or like if you want to help out on the farm and live on the farm for free with purchasing your own mobile home. Like, I want to create that community because at the end of the day, we can't do it by ourselves.
Yeah.
We can't do it all on our own. And the point is to bring that sense of community.
Safe space.
A safe space for not just black people or Spanish people, but LGBTQ community. Like, we want to make it a bi POC space, you know, for indigenous, Hispanic, or black people to come and be able to connect holistically with nature.
Yeah.
And we don't have spaces like that. We don't have too many spaces like that. I know Jamerly was working for Freedom Farm Azul last year, who has a similar mission. It's a female-owned farm, and they're in Alabama.
Yeah.
And she did their social media
for a bit.
For a while, actually.
Yeah.
And I think that's also one of the things that pushed us to start this. It kind of inspired us to be like, well, why can't we do something like that here in Florida?
Right. And bring that space here. And like, Alabama has Tuskegee, and they have like, you know, a whole bunch of like iconic farmers there. And like, to bring that life here is honestly a bit rewarding to just try, you know, and try to do that.
So you guys both grew up on farms in DR, right?
I grew up half city, half country.
Okay.
So I lived most of my life in Brooklyn, New York, and then when I would go to DR, it would be in the campo. So we would have, you know, my dad has a chicken farm in the back. In the front, we have cows, and then by the side, we have like avocados and limes.
Yeah, I was born in the Dominican Republic. I grew up in New Jersey, but every summer I spent in the Dominican Republic with my grandmother on my grandfather's farm, where we have pigs, we have bulls, we have cows, we have plantain trees, we have goats, sheep, literally everything, anything you can think of. I think they call them here, they call them canepas here, the fruit, it's like a green fruit where you crack open. It's kind of like a lychee, but it's not. Canepa, I think that's what they call it in the United States.
You know, every country calls it something.
We call it
different.
limoncillos, but it's a bunch of limes, lemons, different fruits, and he just has so much. And actually, one of my traumas is falling in pig crap as a kid. And you know, to this day, I can say, yeah, I fell in pig crap. It's okay. I can do anything. You know, so I always grew up on farmland in the summer, and it's something that I bring with me, something that I cherish and bring with me since I was a little girl. And you know, we lost sight of what our ancestors were doing when we moved here. My family did, at least. Yeah. And I want to bring that back.
I remember milking my first cow. I remember planting rice in Bali.
Oh yeah, you did go to Bali.
Yeah, they have a lot of rice fields, and like, just like, you know, different things like going back to the chicken coop. And I personally do not agree with my family's way of farming, but you know, they have their different methods, and I've learned from them. And like,
you mean like killing a chicken?
No, like the way they're bred, or what is it called? It is bred. No, the way they're like contained. Yeah. Contained. There's just too many of them, and not enough like
space for
them. Yeah.
So you would like a cage-free, yeah.
Yeah, cage-free for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because chickens protect your crops too from bugs that are invasive.
And they're very like sensitive animals. They're actually very cuddly and very like. Some people have them as pets, you know, like they like to cuddle. They are very
Smart.
highly intuitive animals. Like, they deserve to explore their minds and, just
Live freely.
live freely.
So, like, one of my traumas is being attacked by a rooster. My my friend growing up had chickens. She had this one rooster named Fluffy, who just didn't like people and was a little bit aggressive. And I thought that we were cool. I thought that we were on good terms. And then he went after me. And he ended up being Thanksgiving dinner that year for
Wow.
them. Yeah. So I was avenged. It's okay, but yeah.
That's messed up, man.
Actually, I think her name is Valdea. But she's like a holistic herbalist. She has her farm. Someone I'm also really inspired by is Kellis, and her farm and the things that she does on her farm. But I saw a video on YouTube of someone honoring the death of their chicken, and that process of, like, taking a life away and providing food for family.
You have to be very thankful.
You're very thankful. It was very thoughtful. It was, she did her prayers. She did everything, and that's the type of way that if we ever get to that point where I don't think I want to, I don't know if I want to. I'd rather just
Let me deal with it? You rather let me deal with it?
No, I'd rather just use what they produce and not have to, like, kill them for, like, their meat and stuff. But if I ever had to get to that point, it's in the process of honoring that soul that lived in that vessel.
That was actually one of my big motivations. I'm currently vegetarian. I don't know if I'm going to continue that moving forward just because of, like, health reasons, but I've never liked the way that the farming industry operates in the U.S. Honestly, not just with animal farming, but even with plant farming, and not honoring the land that you're on. But, with animals specifically, I'm like, I don't like how the volume and scale at which cows are being slaughtered.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to eat anything that isn't grass-fed. I don't like, if it's corn-fed, it's full of fat.
Well, we're not meant to eat meat every day. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's literally the problem, is that everybody's like, you got big bodybuilders who eat chicken 5 times a day, and you're like, you don't need to eat chicken that many times a day. You don't need to eat beef yeah, you can get your protein elsewhere. And so that mass production is what's ruining it. It's you don't need to eat meat that many times a week. And you said that you're not sure if you want to continue being vegetarian because of health reasons. Yes, I feel like, you should still incorporate meat every now and then because of health reasons. Our body, over time we have evolved to become meat eaters. And unfortunately, it's like a love-hate relationship with meat for me. I also was vegan for a while, and now I'm eating meat again. But I always feel horrible. I feel so guilty every time I do it. And not because of how it makes me feel physically, but because of, like, where it comes from. And I don't like that. I would like for our community to have more of an education and more of a routine when it comes to eating and eliminating our carbon footprint, because what we eat and the resources that we use, I did actually my carbon footprint calculation yesterday, and it says that if everyone lived like me, we would need 8.8 Earths. Which is something that is insane to me, because there are many people that live like me, and people who live worse, who are wasting way more. So it just goes to show that we're drying our earth, we're drying it to its last resource. And actually, you should do that calculation just to see what.
I think because we're in the age of technology,
Man,
so we're focusing on the digital
convenience.
Yeah.
No one works for their food anymore. No one. I
Well,
mean,
we
I can't say no one, but many people.
Granted,
Right.
chopped up fruit here.
Well, bought it at Publix.
But you can't, it's like, who has even the time? Like, I actually, my last job, my boss, he was a vegan, and he was all about the environment, and he really wanted to build out, he's still working on it. He has not a compound, that's not the right word, because it's just him living there, but he has his own, like, small farm on, like, I think he has, like, about an acre of land in a suburban neighborhood. It's still very young, so he hadn't gotten to the point where he can, completely, like, live off of it. But even he was saying, like, working a full-time job, as a CEO of your own company, and then having to go home and take care of the farm is hard. It's a lot of work. And I think like part of why we don't really have access to great food right now, or people just aren't really thinking about it, is because we live in a world, in a society that operates off of money. You have to have money. You have to go to work. You have to be working full time. You have to be able to take care of things. You got bills. It's like, you're gonna add on top of that. I got to think about what I'm eating,
and inflation on top of it. Recently,
I'm gonna get a hot pocket. That's what I want.
You're gonna get a what?
The last 3 years, it's like, damn, like I can't afford rent and groceries. Like, what is going on here?
And you have a pet, which is also an expense, because they're like a child. We have 2 dogs and 4 cats, and there's 2 of us, and we're still struggling. And we're like, I don't want to work for the rest of my life for someone else. I want to work for myself. And if that means I gotta quit my job and work full time on a farm, I'm gonna do that because it's something that I enjoy and love, and it's something that's gonna help me in the long run. But not everybody is able to do that. Not everybody has those resources, like you mentioned, and it just sucks because we do live in a world where we have to we work to live.
Yeah.
We work to live.
But Jamerly, you were saying space as
Yeah,
well,
the
especially in South
space.
Florida.
Yeah, space is kind of a big thing too, because like I try to grow some crops on our balcony, but it was too much sunlight, not enough water, and everything just kind of died. And I think that it's hard to have growing tomatoes and jalapenos and things like that in your balcony or in your home. Like unless you have a backyard or a front yard, like I think that would be like ideal, but not everyone has that. There's so many people on earth that we don't even have the luxury to have that space for everyone. Yeah, and like that just reminded me of my grandmother in Brooklyn. After I left college, she just decided the front yard was gonna be a garden, and she did her eggplants and her green peppers and her corn. And I was like, and mind you, it was in New York. She only had from March to September, October, and the crops grew, and they grew huge. And that's something that I've also been considering. Is like, it's not just farming, it's the love that you put into it. Like you're growing something they feel and they understand, and you have to put your love first into something for it to grow in that way. And I think she really did it out of love, and that's why her crops grew so much, because she cared for it and she took care of it.
That's like the tree we had in my yard. We had a mango tree in the Dominican Republic. Well, my neighbor had a mango tree in the Dominican Republic, and she was such a bitch. Like, she was the worst. She would cut the side on our side just so we wouldn't get mangoes, because she didn't want us to have mangoes. But when you think about it, when you look at the tree, all the fruiting plants, the fruiting branches were on our side. There were no mangoes on her side, and I was like, God don't like ugly. God don't like ugly, because you're being selfish, you're being mean, you're being instead of sharing, you're cutting the part of the tree that's actually growing, and so you're not gonna have any product on your side of the yard. We're getting all that product because we're actually welcoming it. You're tearing it down, and I said that God don't like ugly.
Helping it to grow more.
We were helping it grow more too.
Imagine having a tree tell you that your vibes are off.
Yes, and it will, and it will.
Psychedelic experience to talk to a tree.
I'm really I really want to do the farm here in Florida, but sometimes I'm like, we might have to do it somewhere else because it's so expensive, because it's so hard to find. But I have faith that we'll be able to stick around. I have faith that we'll find the space. It's just that the funding is hard, it's challenging. Finances and just finding the support and spreading the word has been a challenge for us, just because we're just getting started. But give us a year or two and we'll be up and running. I have faith that we'll be up and running. And like I said, I don't want to have the farm just to be just for currency. Like, I don't want it to be the main reason that I'm doing this. I want to do this because I want to create that sense of community and wellness. Empower wellness, so from soil to souls. So, and it's just, we're still working on our tagline. We're still working on our logo. We're in the creative phases. We're still, trying to get funding and applying for grants, and that's where we're at. But 2 years from now, I have faith that we'll be up and running 100%. 100%.
Well, even what you've mentioned about trying to do it on the balcony, like if you don't have a yard, it's really difficult. I almost feel like that's a spot where we can actually begin to think about what does the future look like of farming. If people are going to be producing all of their own things, or a significant portion of their own things, and if there isn't really a whole lot of space for everybody to be doing that, what does it look like for somebody to do that efficiently and effectively on a balcony or within like a very small yard space or a very small courtyard?
Well, now they have those cool towers, those cool like plant towers.
Yeah. And stuff.
Or even like hydroponics, that helps reduce the amount of space that you're using.
And soil.
I also think like in New York they started using roofs. But I don't know how much that's geared towards gardening, rather like sight and like just having some nature up there. But I've always like thought of like, these companies or these organizations that have affordable housing but don't have affordable nutrition. Like you build this whole park and you put trees there, like why not invest in a farmer and put some farming, and then every Sunday, every 2 weeks or whatever, your residents could come down and get some food, with like whatever that looks like for that organization. But like I think we're wasting a lot of time just not investing in our space adequately in a way that's sufficient and efficient for the time that we're at.
Actually, no, the reason why we don't do that is a lot of cities don't want to have to deal with the mess when all the plants fall, and then you have ants, you have squirrels, like
especially in the city.
But that's why I'm saying like invest in a farmer, and a good farmer.
Exactly.
Like you can't just leave it by itself.
Yeah, but you think that's like a very straightforward solution that it's like it never even gets to the people who are actually making these kinds of decisions.
Well, even then, you also have those people, like for instance with the whole student loan forgiveness thing. Like you have those people that are like, well, why should they get things for free and we can't? Well, because you make $3 million a fucking year.
Also, you ruined it for us.
Right, you ruined it for us, and you make $3 million a year where we're barely getting by on $20,000 when you need that $20,000 just for food.
Right.
And on top of that, it's like, even if you're making all this money right now, something could happen and you could be completely out.
Right.
And what are you going to do?
Right.
Like,
You're gonna be
don't
grateful
wish-
that those resources are gonna be they're there.
This idea that like you're paying for other people to live is completely false, because the resource is there when you need it.
And also the idea of taxes. Like I'm paying my taxes, so it should come back to me.
I think
And you get dismissed. And what are those called? White whatever. Write-offs. You get write-offs
You
for
said
fucking
white what?
everything. Oh, sorry, I cursed. You get write-offs for everything. If you got a business, you put your car on there. If you got a business, you put whatever. Other people don't have the luxury to save on taxes like that.
Right.
And I'm paying taxes. I should be able to see what I'm getting.
Right. And not in war.
right.
Exactly. We're also dealing with people who are being born into technology.
Yeah.
Like the moment they're exposed to it instantly.
Yeah.
And we don't know how that changes the brain.
Yeah.
And how, our little ones are thinking. And a lot of people talk about attention span, and I get that. Attention span, yeah, they should be more focused. However, maybe we should be transforming what education looks like to fit the new generation.
Correct.
Because we did that before. I'm not learning about how to cook and clean in my classes anymore, or how to sew, or how to iron, you know? Like, it's time for that next step to happen. And yes, it happened very quickly, but we also have to understand the things that happen in our history and in our world to showcase how that happened. Like, I feel so lucky that I was born when I was born in 1996, because I literally watched the internet come.
Yeah, that's the same. I was born in 97. Like I remember.
Damn, I was born 93. We looked at each other. We were like, I still had to take dial-up and connect it to my computer. You wouldn't
I remember dial-up. I remember using a floppy disk to save things.
Okay.
I remember.
Okay.
Oh my god.
I give you.
And then
that.
when the USB came out, and then we had the Razor, we had the Virgin Mobiles, like we were there. We were
Sidekicks,
there.
Blackberry.
But like you guys were in like elementary school, where I was in like middle school when the Razor came out. Like
Yeah.
like I had the little Nokia brick phone.
Yeah,
And,
or
and
the
when I moved
chirp-
to
Oh, the little silver one with the
before
little
that, the little
keyboards?
the little blue one.
yeah,
The little blue one with a snake
Where it
on
said
it.
Nokia on it, and it was like a little round.
You could throw it and it Yeah, like it was indestructible.
I remember my mom's first cell phone. My mom's first cell phone was one of the ones that you like took the antenna out.
Yes, the big brick.
Yes.
Yeah. My dad had one, and then the little beepers.
Yes.
Yep. I had a beeper.
You had a beeper?
I had a beeper in middle school. I had a beeper, and
Who was beeping you in middle school?
So because my parents were divorced, my dad got me and my twin brother and my older brother a beeper, all of us, and we had a beeper. So he would let us know, like, because he was a firefighter as well. So if he was on a call, he would have to let us know, like, hey, I'm gonna be late picking you up, or I'm not picking you up at all. So he would let us know, and then that's how we would find out if my dad was picking us up or not, instead of him calling the house and having to deal with my mom.
Okay.
So.
Got it.
I mean, he's smart.
So we had a beeper. So that was fun, and then we would give it out to our friends for our friends to beep us, and it was.
I had a beeper, but it was my brother's beeper, and it was a hand-me-down.
Yeah.
So I never, and it wasn't like at that point, like I wasn't giving my beeper out. It was just cool to have.
Yeah. It was
I have one, but I'm not giving it to you. You know. You were born in '91, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you got 2 years on
I
me.
got 2 years. Yeah.
And we got to really witness 9/11.
Oh my God, I was in 4th grade for that.
The 90s. I want to go to a 90s party.
Let's do it. What? Ooh. You're having a party.
Well, pool party.
Pool party.
But how do you do a 90s themed pool party?
You could put 90s 2000 music. Everyone
90s,
comes dressed
2000?
up with their denim.
Denim bathing suit?
Denim bathing suit. Well, wait. We're going to see a couple booty cheeks. We're going to see a couple booty cheeks out there.
More than a couple. This group, more than a couple.
I'm for it. I can look. I just can't touch, right, babe? I mean,
What?
Huh? Just kidding. You can look. You just can't touch.
All right, then I'll be looking too.
All right, bet. We looking together.
No, we're not looking together.
Say less. Say less. It's funny because we actually started off as a polyamorous relationship, and now we're monogamous.
Yeah.
So experiencing that transition from poly to monogamous is funny to me.
That's.
It's like it's cool to see how
Well, we started
reserved.
monogamous, then we went poly, then we went monogamous.
Yes.
Okay, so you were monogamous first, and then poly.
Well, I was poly before I met her. I was in a poly relationship before I met her. And so she kind of opened up her heart and her mind and said, maybe this is something I can work with, or maybe this is something I can try. And we explored, and we realized it wasn't for us. Specifically, for this dynamic specifically. I don't knock it. I think that, poly relationships are beautiful. I'm still open to it in the future if it's something, I'm not closed off to it. But as of right now, our dynamic is monogamous, and I think that's going to stay like that. I don't know. It's funny, when we say things like, you can look, but you can't touch, but it's like, we already looked together before, So
the problem that I had, I was in a 6-year relationship, and we started poly. I wasn't poly. She introduced me to polyamory. And I wasn't poly before that because I didn't know about it before that. Like, I had come out, and then I was, 6 months later, I was with her, and I was like, oh shit, like, this is... So,
oh, you had just come out.
I came out at 23.
Okay.
So, she introduced me to polyamory, and I was like, oh, okay, like, this is cool. And then we went monogamous, and then things happened, and she decided that she wanted to do things but not tell me about it. Okay. So that kind of ruined our dynamic, our relationship. So that's why that long-term relationship ended. Mm-hmm. But for me, I do identify as poly. Like, I would 100% get into another polyamorous relationship, but it's whoever I'm with. Like, if it's up to that partner, I'm okay being monogamous, but it's up to that partner that I'm with. Like, hey, I do let them know up front, like, hey, this is what it is. If you're comfortable with that, we can continue like that. If you're not, then we need to communicate that.
And you need the transparency as well.
The communication's key because, it can work. A polyamorous person can be in a monogamous relationship if it's communicated. Mm-hmm. But if it's not communicated where, hey, I'm poly, but you're not, but I'm not going to tell you that I'm poly, so I'm going to go do my thing. That's
you have to be honest and transparent with each other, because otherwise it won't work. it won't work.
Communication is key no matter what kind of relationship you're in. The communication is what you have to have.
Absolutely.
I'm actually the first girl Jamerly's ever been with.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was a little rocky.
It was a little rocky because she didn't know how to be with a woman, so I had to kind of,
I also was single for 5 years before meeting her. So, and I also...
Now look at us 2 years later.
I know. I was single. I was not dating for the later 3 years. I took 2 years of celibacy with sex. And I just really, like... You know how people say I discovered myself during my alone time? That didn't happen for me. Life was just passing me by.
Yep.
And then when life came, I was like, wait, hold up. I wasn't working on nothing.
Yep.
I was just trying to survive.
It's like that commercial, life's passing you by. You ain't doing
Yeah.
nothing, life's passing you by.
That's literally
What was it,
me.
DeVry University or something like that?
So messed up. That's the commercial that made me go back to school. Nah, I'm just kidding. It was an SNHU commercial that made me go back to school.
Was it? Wow.
Because they were talking about, because I actually went to Rutgers University, and are you rah-rah? And I dropped out the beginning of my junior year, and then after 8 years, I decided to go back to school because I was watching TV and I saw a SNHU commercial about how it's not too late. And I was like, working all these jobs I hated. I've been in the service and bartending industry for years, and I'm just like, I'm so tired of this shit. Like, I'm tired of serving. I'm tired of coming home at 3 a.m. every day, at bartending and smelling like alcohol and drinking all the time. Like, because it brings you into that life too, you know. So I was like, something's got to give. And something's got to give. And my mom was kind of like, after my dad died, you know, I had promised my dad that I would finish school and get my degree, and I never did in his lifetime. Yeah. So now I felt like I owed it to him. Yeah. And one day I was watching TV and a SNHU commercial came on, and I was like, yep, I'm calling them right now. And lo and behold, I went back to school and did my environmental science, changed my degree from criminal justice to environmental science. All my Rutgers credits transferred over. So I didn't have to do 4 years. I only had to do 2 more years, and it worked out. But honestly, it's funny you mentioned that DeVry commercial, because if it wasn't for SNHU, I probably would have gone to DeVry or some crap like that.
So my university doesn't even have commercials.
So you're still in school right now, right?
For my master's.
Okay. What's your master's in?
Anthropology.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
So
Yeah, I want to
went
study hair.
study hair.
Okay.
The history of hair.
The culture, history, economics. I want hair to be a branch in anthropology, and I want to write an encyclopedia.
Is that why you did the big chop? No.
Shut up.
Or you had a Britney Spears moment?
A little bit both.
A little bit of both.
A little bit both.
Listen, I had Britney Spears moment a long time ago, like 10 years ago, and I never went back. I was like, I like it short. I look good.
I have
went
a big
for mine
head.
to grow. It's just I lost my curls because I went blonde, so I lost my curl pattern.
Yeah.
So I had to chop it off, and it's going in. Thank you.
Little fro.
A little fro now. This is the first time I see myself in.
She had a
fro.
buzz cut, and it's gotten so long.
Yeah,
It's gotten so
it's my second big chop.
Okay. Okay. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to do a second one at this point. She's kind of bothering me. I did my big chop. Oh my god, what year was that? 2016, like 2016 or 2017, somewhere around there. Yeah. And
Why did you do the big chop?
I was dealing with compulsive hair pulling when I was in high school. I probably pulled out like 80% of my hair, and at that point, like my mom, like she always permed my hair when I was a kid. Like we all, whole family. She never really had like a positive association like with natural hair. I didn't even know like until like after I was pulling my hair out and like things are going back, I didn't know that I had curly hair. I assumed that I had straight hair because I didn't really know what a perm was doing. I just knew that I got my hair permed once a month. So I pulled out most of my hair. My scalp was just raw, like from all the plucking. So when she tried to still perm what was growing in, I just got like so many like chemical burns. And I even before then, like when I was still like when there was no issue with my scalp, I was still, I got more burns than my sister would. I got more burns than my mom would. Like my skin has always been a little more sensitive, but afterwards, like everything was just too exposed. So I just said, I'm not doing this. I convinced her to put braids in my hair once, and that's what I wore when I went off to college. And don't know, I tried for another year just to make it work. I couldn't. I was really self-conscious. I hated people walking behind me because I knew that the back of my head looked fucking ridiculous. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore. So
not my hair.
Yeah, so I went to a salon by school. I got it. She trimmed it so that it was all like a similar length, so that it didn't I still had like a little bit of new growth, but it was mostly still permed. So she trimmed it. I just kind of let it grow, and then a couple months later I was home, and the line of demarcation was too obvious, and I got my mom to cut off the rest of it. And I know it hurt her deeply, but she's come along. She's come a long way. She's really come around to it now.
My grandma still tells me, you need to brush your hair before you go to work. I'm like, Grandma, my hair is brushed. Thank you.
And it looks great. Like, it looks beautiful.
Thank you. I was 19 when I found my first curl. And it took years. And I remember...
Because you were also getting permed?
No, because I was getting my hair straightened so often. Since I was 4 years old, I would go every week or every 2 weeks to get my hair straightened. So my hair just, whenever it grew straight. See, I'm very hairy. So I used to get a lot of bullying because of my arm hair.
Yeah.
And I had my aunt one day, she completely shaved it because I was crying about it. And my mom comes, she's like, what are you doing to my daughter? Oh my God. And my mom pulled me to the side. My mom is light skinned. And she pulled me to the side and she was like, don't ever do that again. Your hair is beautiful. You need to accept yourself. And I don't know, for that it was like even I remember a specific time in the hallway when there was a group of 5 people, girls and boys. They were like, why are your arms so hairy? Like, are you a man? And I'm like crying. And I remember Mr. Ramirez was there and he was like, don't you listen to that. And that was something that like really affected me as a child. Yeah.
She getting teary.
Growing up as a black woman, the whole world tells you over and over and over again that you're not enough. And it's really hard to kind of unpack that as an adult. And like, I don't know for you, but for me, the hair was like a big portion of that. And like, it was almost like until I was 17, I didn't really identify with blackness, and like I didn't really see myself as being black. It's like I knew, but it's almost like there was so much shame around it that I was like, okay, I'm not even gonna bother like really digging into this.
Yeah. And then when you dig into it, it's like, wait, hold up.
You found out who you are. You're like, whoa.
Yeah, it's like being Afro-Latina. Listen, that's something different. And
especially with the diaspora in the Dominican Republic.
My hair, I feel like I'm being resilient against the Dominican normative forms. And I also, in my research, want to dig into, like, people saying, you want to get your hair straight, go to the Dominicans. And, like, Dominicans are the best hair straighteners. Like, there's a reason for that. We're so engulfed in wanting to dismiss our blackness that we've learned how to fake being European. And that's why I didn't see my curls until I was 19. Yeah.
I think Karma's also agreeing that she would also like to embrace her blackness.
I'm sorry. She's literally sitting here smiling at me.
This dog is like, I'm being suffocated in this Caucasian household.
She's like, I'm ready for my moment.
She's like, I'm here and I'm queer.
You, a black gay dog, how does that make you feel?
She's black and white. She's black and white.
She's biracial.
She's biracial. It's the one drop rule that applies here.
Well, that applies.
Damn.
That does not apply.
Damn,
things we're not doing.
Aw, she's so beautiful. And see, these are the things that I want. These are the type of workshops I want to have on our farm. Like, I want to have workshops where people can come and learn and talk and just have these discussions, talk about mental health, talk about traumas and childhood trauma, have a safe space. I just want to create a safe space. Really, that's what I want.
And for the little ones too, it's like exposing them to different identities and different people that look like them, not just for once a month,
right,
or
like
once like for a month in a year, but like all the time. And looking at like people who are tattoo artists and hairdressers and mechanics and CEOs of their companies, and people that are successful but didn't go to college, like there's so many different life stories, and we're just feeding kids one life story. And it's like, not every kid's gonna tie to that, but if they knew, hey, just make it to high school. Make it through high school, just decide what you want to do, find programs in your neighborhood that would help you with what you want to do, and just after high school decide who you want to be, you know? But I feel like getting up to high school is important, but there's a reason why a lot of kids don't stay up to high school. They don't feel seen. They don't feel heard. It's another space where they're being attacked.
Yeah. And again, being told that they're not good enough,
Yeah.
that you're never going to make it to college. Why are you coming here?
Oh,
Exactly.
I was told in high school, my guidance counselor, my senior year, told me, you're not graduating. You'll be lucky if you be anything in your life.
Wow.
My guidance counselor. And sure enough, I went to my principal and I was like, yo, screw her. Like, nah, that's not happening. Like, so I live behind a house, right? I live in a little, what is it? A little,
It's like an efficiency.
yeah, it's a 1-bedroom, but it's like a little cottage.
Okay.
Behind somebody's house.
Yeah, an efficiency. Okay.
But it actually, it's not an efficiency. I have an actual bedroom, and then I have, like, the living room, the kitchen, and stuff like that. It's really dope. Like, it's a little cottage.
A mother and daughter home.
Yeah, something like that. So, I live in that, and I was thinking, when you guys were saying earlier about the, you know, planning your own stuff and whatnot in a yard, I'm like, damn, I have the whole backyard to myself. Like, because they get the front yard, I get the backyard. And the only thing I do with the backyard is let Karma out, and that's it. Like, maybe I could start growing something and start, you know, getting my own stuff.
Even if it's just like tomatoes or like basil, some cilantro. I don't know what kind of spices you use to cook, but most of
Is it because I'm white?
No. Not at all, but because not a lot of people like cilantro. Some people use basil or prefer parsley. So like depending on what you like, not because you're white.
White people pillaged all of these different countries for spices, and they don't use spices.
Well, you said you were Jewish, and Jewish people can cook.
Yeah, we can cook.
Yeah, I live
Bread?
with.
Oh my god, I'm obsessed.
Jewish apple cake? Oh, I'll make Jewish apple cake. But
Oh, you guys gotta come. You guys gotta come to our house.
hell yeah.
90s pool party.
90s pool party.
For our
Yes.
birthday.
Yes. On the 13th. No, I'm serious.
But the 13th's a Monday.
It's a Sunday. I thought.
No, it's a Monday. It's the 12th. It's a Sunday.
Okay, so we'll do that Sunday.
Okay, because I was like, because we looked.
Yeah.
We looked earlier, and I was like, it's a Monday. I work.
We thought it was a Sunday.
No, if it's a Sunday, I don't work any Sunday.
Yeah, me either,
That's the best thing about my schedule is I don't work Sundays. But other than
Sunday's a
that-
good day, I feel like, for a lot of people, but I mean, before when I was in the service industry, hell no, I could never take a Sunday off, but now I'm gonna enjoy my Sundays, for sure.
I enjoy my Sundays for football.
Football Sundays, what's your team?
Eagles. Don't me. Let me guess. Giants. Giants or Jets?
Giants.
Giants?
Nothing with ETS, because ETS stands for end the season. No Jets, no Nets, no Mets. So I'm a Giants fan. I'm a Giants fan. I'm a Yankees fan, and I'm a Knicks fan. Unfortunately, we're doing a lot better now, though. But yeah, I'm a sport. We could talk sports.
Yeah. And then this one's like sports, raw.
Me too.
Yeah, exactly.
Spelled the name wrong.
But you say you do horseback riding, so what's up?
I mean that I don't like watch people do it though. I tried to watch like the Olympic one. I get so bored.
Yeah.
This is not my thing.
Where I went to school is the highest area for horse racing.
It's known
in
for their horse
Saratoga
race.
Oh wait.
Springs.
Oh
I
yeah.
went to Skidmore.
I lived in Albany.
Oh really?
I lived in It's right at Rensselaer. I lived in
I
Rensselaer.
don't
It's
know.
right next to Albany for I don't know a little while last year.
Yeah.
I moved to Albany for.
Albany's cold as hell.
It's freezing.
Snow is up to here.
But yeah, I went to Saratoga, Skidmore, and people would like literally the people would come, like their economy thrives so much during the horse
horse
racing that they can live off of that to the next horse racing.
Yep.
Like that's
Saratoga
insane to
Springs.
me.
Horses are prized possessions.
Yeah, but the way they just whip them to run
Yeah, it's
faster,
messed up
I'm
though
like,
how they treat them.
Yeah. There's a. That could be a whole other podcast episode. I have my issues with the horse industry and horse racing, and for me, like it ties a lot into like my feelings when it comes to animal husbandry. Like you have to take care of them.
You do. You have to show them love. They feel like us, and they're innocent. They they're not, you know.
They didn't ask to be born.
Right. Neither did we, but here we are.
Listen, I tell my parents
I think
all the
I
time.
asked, pick me.
I'm like, listen, I'm moving back in because I didn't ask to be born. No, you're not. I don't have room for you. Damn it.
Okay, then why'd you have me?
Right.
You're 30 years old now. Get it together. That's what my mom says.
My mom tells me, when I was your age, I had 5 kids. I was like, that's not me.
Right. That's insane
scary.
to me. I see people are going to high school with 2 or 3 kids. I'm like, God bless you. Because I'm barely keeping up with myself.
My twin brother has 2. My older brother has 2. My sister has 7. She's insane. But, no, like, even watching my twin brother and my older brother that's 2 years older than us have kids, I'm just like, how do you have kids? Like, I'm so blown away, and my nieces are like 10. I'm like, how do you have kids?
My oldest niece is just finishing her freshman year of college. She started her sophomore year of college.
She's 20.
She's 20. She's 19.
19. So my oldest.
No, she just turned 18.
What?
And she's already a sophomore in college.
And then the youngest from my sister is 7. And then my oldest niece, that's 22, she has a 3-year-old.
Damn.
So I have a great
you were an aunt early, just like me.
My niece, she's 13, I believe. Then I have an 8-year-old niece, a 5-year-old niece, and a 3-year-old niece. All girls.
I have nieces and nephews. I have 16 nieces and nephews.
Wow.
I have
Big
9.
family.
You have 9?
None. Not even.
None.
My siblings don't even have pets. That's like we're like a plant family. Like I gave my sister a tomato tree, and she killed it. So like that's that was my niece.
Are you the oldest?
Oh no, I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest.
Yeah.
I said to my mom, don't expect any kids from me. And now I'm like, I want 2, I want 3.
No, she's like, I want 5.
I actually do want 5, yeah.
My mom tries to get me all the time. She's like, when are you having kids? When are you having kids? When are you having? I'm like, I have karma, bro. Like, that is your grandchild. Yeah. I don't care. That is your grandchild. She is 7 now. Celebrate her birthday.
Celebrate her birthday, and maybe
Get
I'll
her
give
some
you
treats, a doggy bed, and a bone.
Celebrate her birthday.
She's a Capricorn like me.
Yeah, she likes those bones. She likes her bones and her beds.
I gotta get you a plant. Since you said you're a plant family.
Yeah, I have a lot
There's
of
a
plants.
really nursery in West Palm Beach. It's like a lady in her house. She does it in her backyard. It's so cute. We're gonna have to get you to West Palm Beach one day so we can go.
Oh, I'm again. 90s pool party. I love those 3 words right next to each other.
I'm gonna be playing all the jams.
I'll get you caught up on the 90s music. Don't worry.
Thank you, old
90s.
lady.
No. The other day we were out, and I'm like, "Do you know this song?" And I'm vibing, and she's like, "No," and I was like, "Never mind."
Damn, what song was it? Please tell me. Do you remember?
No. Oh, yes. It was Eazy-E. Riding in the hood in my 6'4".
Okay.
Yeah. She didn't know that song.
What?
I am the youngest person at this table. I need some respect.
Right.
Taylor, we gotta get you up. We gotta get you up to date on that.
Listen, we grew up in the Nelly era.
Nelly Furtado or Nelly?
Both.
Oh, okay.
And Mary J. Blige. Mariah Carey. She had her moment. Her little overlap with Eminem.
Ludacris.
What? That was insane. I love
Missy Elliott.
Missy Elliott. I wanted to dress up like her for Halloween this year, but the way my funds is looking is.
You know what? Maybe I could dress up as like Run DMC or something, because I do have an all Adidas outfit.
Yeah.
There you go. Maybe I could do Run DMC.
Little lesbian Run DMC.
Little lesbian Run DMC. I just gotta find an Adidas bucket hat.
Run DML. What are you gonna be for Halloween?
I've had a couple of outfits. I was a Playboy at the last Playboy show.
Okay.
And then I did this past weekend. I was just like a demon.
Okay. I haven't gone to a Playboy show, but I want to.
You have to.
should.
Oh my God, they're so exciting.
I've only been to I've been to a couple of chic events. I've been to a couple of Marley events. I went to the pool party. I go to the Link Up. I think that's where we met, at the Link Up,
Yeah.
right? And I still haven't gone to the basement party or the Playboy one.
I haven't been to the basement either.
Yeah.
But again, it gets expensive.
Yeah, it gets
Go
expensive.
to the basement. I mean, I even had to rethink kind of like my relationship with alcohol especially, and just like other kind of like recreational drugs, because I started on Zoloft I think 7 weeks ago. It was when we had our first phone call. That was like that was day one for me.
I remember you told us. Yeah.
I took the first pill that night, and oh my god, what an experience. But I decided to just be sober at least for the first 6 weeks, because I knew that was going to be the, I guess, like introductory period or whatever that everybody says, like 6 to 8 weeks is like when you start to feel effects. And I've noticed with alcohol especially that it just, once I start like coming down from being drunk, I'm great when I'm drunk, I'm happy drunk, but once I'm starting to wear off, I really don't feel great about myself. Yeah. Like the Uber ride home after partying was always the absolute worst. And I think like now it will probably be a little bit different because, I have an SSRI in my system, but at the same time, it's just, do I really need that? Like when I go out and when I party with people.
Yeah, it's like I should be able to have fun without having to be drunk.
Yeah.
And I also noticed that when I go out and I don't have a drink, I have less fun than when I am drunk. And that's, I suffer from bipolar disorder type 2 and type 1, and that alcohol affects us, man. And I noticed that it does really affect me 100%.
Yeah, especially tequila.
She
said, yeah, especially tequila, and they gave us that look. Goddamn.
No, tequila. I call it tequila because it really.
That's what she calls it.
That's my go-to. Like tequila and rum. If I do drink, that's my go-to. But that's why a lot of it. I've never been a big drinker. I've never been a big. I've never done drugs heavily. Stuff like that. I mean, I smoked pot when I was younger. All the time. But that's normal. When you're younger. Yeah. But. Well, I guess maybe not normal, but normal for me, normal for our communities, right. But I because of the bipolar disorder, like I try to stay sober. Like I try not to drink and stuff like that because I do know it affects me, and I do know I'm one of those people that if I do drink, I'm going balls to the wall.
Yeah, same. Like, it's hard for me to stop once I start.
Right.
Mind you, I'm like 2 drinks and taking a sip. I'm like, ooh, my stomach is kind of like, ooh.
Yeah. No,
like
I can have one and I'll be fine. But if I have more than one, I'm having 10.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where my, I'll have one drink and I'm done for the night.
I'm a vodka Jameson girl. I'm a Tito's Jameson girl.
Okay.
But if you give me tequila, it could be a good day and it could be the worst night of your life, depending on.
But it will always be a bad day after.
But it'll always be a bad day after because I don't know what it does, but my serotonin levels are just completely gone to the ground. Like, and I just don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to do anything. I don't even want to get out of bed. And I don't eat. The next day, if I'm drinking tequila, is for me, I have to be off. I can't go to work. It's hard. So I noticed that, alcohol does affect me, but it's hard it is something that is addicting, especially when all your friends do it. Yeah. And everyone's out drinking and inviting you to drink. Like, that seems to be the norm.
Yeah.
But why can't you invite me to go fishing? I just picked up fishing as a hobby, and I treat fish with respect, and if they're too small, obviously I throw them back in. If I took one fish home with me, and to this day I feel so horrible because I wasted it. Yeah. But then one time I took a fish home and I ate it, so it depends, But you have to be respectful. But I picked up fishing as a hobby because I wanted to pick something that's going to make me feel relaxed that didn't involve alcohol.
And we also met a group of people who loved fishing. Well, 2 people who loved fishing. And so that also ties in. It's like also who's in your environment. Yeah. They could expose you to different things that you might be into. You never even knew, but you always had an interest in fishing.
Yeah, but in New Jersey, I never felt like I could go fishing.
Well, Kevin, what do we got? The Delaware River?
The Jersey Shore, but it was always cold. It was
really besides cold. That, yeah. Besides the Jersey Shore, but I mean, on the other side where I grew up, the Delaware River, where like you know the Simpsons, where like you got the 3 fish or the fish with the 3 eyes. Yeah, like
No, but the Delaware River, I've never gone fishing in the.
Don't.
But see, now that I live here, I'm like, these are things that I could do now, and I have access to. I live right by the beach, and I don't have my own fishing rod, but one of my best friends, he has 3, so he's like, oh, I got one for you, like we go fishing all the time, and I want to find spaces like that where I feel I can have a good time socially and not drink. And I've recently started going to kava bars. I've drank kava maybe twice in my life, or kratom, whatever it's called. But I still go because it's open mic. Every Monday they have hang time, where it's like a cypher. My friends would like to do like freestyle and stuff like that. And I go every Monday, we do bonfires and stuff like that. And it took me a year and a half. It took me almost actually 2 years to find a space like that for me, where I didn't have to get drunk to have a good time. And those people are so cool to be around, and I've met so many good people through
There's a kava bar literally walking distance, like literally as soon as you look out my window, and there's a kava bar right there.
Have you tried it?
No, I haven't. But
I have one down the street from me too.
But
it's supposed to be cleansing for your liver. It cleanses your liver. So you're not supposed, if you're drinking alcohol, you're not supposed to drink kratom. It does make you sick if you do alcohol, like if you've been drinking all day and then go have a kava, because it's a root that cleanses your liver. And so that's one of the reasons why I was like, let me try this. I want to cleanse. I want to stop drinking alcohol. Yeah. I do. It's just hard. It is hard. Yeah. It is. Especially because, you get home and you have such a stressful day. You're like, oh, I need a glass of wine. Yeah. But wine is good for your heart, but
one glass
in moderation. Meanwhile, I'm like, give me the whole bottle, Like I don't want to keep living like that. Yeah. So it's inspiring that you've been sober and you've recently gave up alcohol, and it's like, wow, it's not just me. It's not just me that's feeling like this.
I'm sorry if I keep touching myself.
No,
it's okay.
No fumes. I'm doing the same thing. I feel like I'm like,
once you have the farm, you gotta get used to the bugs.
So, do you guys enjoy dancing?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's I saw there's, what is it, I think it's West Coast Swing, or it's East Coast Swing. I can't remember, but it's a swing dance at the end of the month. I think the last Saturday of the month or something like that, up in West Palm.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're gonna come. You're gonna go to the event.
I've been thinking about doing it. But
swing dance?
Yeah.
So you swing dance?
Yeah, it's West Coast Swing. I think it is. I think it's West Coast Swing because I remember seeing WCS. So it's West Coast Swing. So it's fast paced, but it's more.
Do they teach you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's classes.
I've always wanted to do swing dance.
Yeah, it's classes. So it's not East Coast Swing where it's like, but it's very fast paced, but it's very fun. It's so fun. So I've been meaning to do that. I just got so sidetracked and whatever, and now I'm out of shape. So now I'm like,
life happens.
Yeah. So I've been meaning to do that, but I don't like doing things alone because I'm a twin. I was born with somebody, so I don't like doing things alone. Mm-hmm. So I haven't found somebody to go with. So.
Oh, well, invite us. We'll go. Like, please.
Let's go.
Like, we gotta hang out. Like, you got some friends up the way now. We got us.
See, you guys talk about like, oh, it's so hard to meet other gay people. Just start a podcast.
Right. You have karma all.
We do have to wrap up because I'm pretty sure this park closes at 7 and it's already past 6:30.
Yeah.
And the bugs have been going crazy this whole time. But where can everybody follow you guys? I guess just for now.
Well, for now, our Instagram page and logo will be up next week. Okay. I don't know what the name of the page will be, if it's still going to be the name of the farm or if it's going to be our tagline. So we're still figuring that out. But my Instagram is Elements of Noelia. Elements of, and then my name is Noelia, Noelia. And right now I'm just rebranding that page because I don't want to tie my business with my personal, so it's like very empty. But please feel free to reach out. My GoFundMe is on there as well. If you would like to donate or even just repost or share, we would really appreciate it. And Jamerly is Instagramless at the moment.
Yeah, I deleted my Instagram, but you can find me on LinkedIn at Jamerly Dela Cruz.
All right, add them on Instagram, add them on LinkedIn. You can follow me at bottumsup.pod on Instagram. You can shoot us an email if you're interested in coming on as a guest or if you want to send questions or anything like that. Thank you again for listening. I really appreciate it. I'm having so much fun doing this, and I'm meeting some wonderful people, and I'm so appreciative of you guys being here.
Thank you. Right, and we met Jen today. What's your Instagram, Jen? Well, you don't have to.
Hashtag just see Jen. Just Google it.
Okay.
Just Google it. You'll come across the Facebook and the Instagram.
Wait, I thought you were kidding.
Are you
I
serious?
swear to God, it's
No, I gotta look.
No, it's legitimately hashtag Just See Jen. I was not joking about it. Hashtag Just See Jen.
That's such a good text. Okay.
Thank you guys. I'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.